not understand what's going on. Hot in here, no?
They're just saying that Sunday's the last day for ticket pickup, and I'm thinking to myself,
We're not picking up tickets.
huh?
We're not picking up tickets.
Right. I just want to be able to know that we can't go on the.
I'm not going to ask.
Huh?
I'm not going to ask.
Welcome, guys. Hey. Yeah, da, da. 1, 2, here we go. We'll ask live control to start the video. Live control, if you're there, there you go. All right. Okay, we're on. Yai nai na na ya da da yai da da yai nai yai nai nai da 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 ya da 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 yai nai yai da 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 ya da 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 lechun ranena ladonai Naria letsurishenu nekad mafanav toda yainai dai dai yainai nai nai yainai yainai nai nai dai dai yainai lai lai yainai yainai dai 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 Yai, yai, dai, dai. So you may have noticed, if you are a regular at our Friday night services, that we've scaled things back a bit. We've cleaned up our bima, including the keyboard that I play here every Friday night as accompaniment. And that's for a couple of reasons. First of all, logistical and practical, getting ready for the holidays. But it's also because in this final weekend before Rosh Hashanah, and this final weekend before we enter into the most sacred time of the year for our people, we scale things back a bit. Not just practically, not just, here on the bima, but also here. And we try to do with less, as we mentioned in one of the videos that we put out a couple weeks ago, where my neighbor who suffered severe damage from their flood 2 weeks ago said, they're going to learn to live with less, and that really had an impact on me, not just learning to live with less stuff, but learning to live with less stress, with less guilt, with less fear, with less anxiety, with less anger. And so we're going to do with less this Shabbat. We're going to do with less. We're going to do without the keyboard. We're going to do without the cables, which is a welcome addition to the bima. But we're going to be able to do more with our new sound system. We're going to be able to do more with everyone here on Zoom and on our various platforms that we broadcast to. So let's just take a deep breath. We're going to get into Shabbat, an exciting Shabbat, a meaningful Shabbat, a Shabbat hopefully of rest for everyone, where we can rest a little more. You never want less rest. Rest a little more and have a little less noise. Have a little less noise coming in. So we just did L'chuna Ranena on page 11. We'll turn now to page 14 for Yismechu Hashamayim, the heavens rejoice. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo, 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 Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Turn ahead to page 21, and we'll Just look at the last two lines on page 21. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. God will grant strength to God's people and bless us with peace. Bottom of page 21. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Ya Elai, 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 Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. The Charodi is on page 23. The Charodi welcomes the Shabbat. We view Shabbat as a metaphor for a bride. And if you've ever been to a wedding, you know that when people walk down the aisle, it's sometimes a little noisy. You can still see people on their cell, texting or taking pictures. But then when the bride walks in, everybody stands up, and it's quiet and it's tranquil, and it's a moment of peace. And so that's what we how we view Shabbat, as a metaphor for a bride, and we stand for the final stanza, the final verse of the Charodi, and we turn toward the back as if the bride were walking down the aisle. So we'll get started with the Charodi, page 23, and we'll sing together. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor v'divur echad, yishmi'anu el hamichad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melechir melucha kumitzei, מתוך אף הרב לך שבת בימי קבחה, והוא יחמול עלייך אלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת, page 25, והיולים שיסו שוסייך ורחקו, כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי ימסוס חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על ידיש, בין פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה, ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת nekabela. Turn to page 27 for the Psalm for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Tov l'Adonai, ulezamer shimcha Elyon. And then on the bottom of page 28, we'll sing together Tzadik Katamar. Tzadik Katamar Yifrach, כארז בלבנון יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי ולא עוולה תבוא. This week we witnessed destruction on a scale that I don't think any one of us was really prepared to handle. I don't think our towns and our cities were prepared to handle it. When we saw our neighbor's refrigerator floating, quite literally floating down our block, I think that was jarring for us to see, and luckily we were spared, but our entire block was completely flooded with cars floating and people walking in waist-high water just trying to get home. And so this prayer on page 29, Mikolot Ma'im Rabim, there's a beautiful melody, but the words are, above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. And so we hope that Adonai is listening to our prayers and that those prayers are being accepted at this very moment. Prayers for calmer waters literally and metaphorically and spiritually. Page 29. Mikolot ma'im rabim madirim mishpereyam adir b'marom yadai adir b'marom yadai adir b'marom Adonai Elotecha nemnu me'od leveitcha nava kodesh Adonai le'orech yamin. We'll turn to Baruch Hu, which is the call to worship. It's the call to community. Page 39, and I'll invite us all to rise for that. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. We may be seated. The two blessings before the Shema. The first on page 39. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Elechai v'kayam v'tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai hamari v'aravim. Page 40. Ve'avadcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Few words can unite us the way the Shema can. It's one of the prayers that every single person who is Jewish or chooses to be Jewish will know. And so we'll take a moment to sing those words together. Page 41. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Continue privately, page 42 with the Shema. והיה אם שבת ישמעו תשנו וזבחיון. ויאמרם אשר לאמור. Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 44, Mi chamocha. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nenar b'kodesh, nora nora tehilot, o seifele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nenar b'kodesh, nora nora tehilot, o seifele. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Prayer for peace, Hashkivenu, is on page 45. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ushmo tzeitzeinu uvoeinu lechaim u'leshalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. The commandment to keep Shabbat holy is found on page 46, Vishamru, and I'll invite us to rise for that. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. B'nei v'nei Yisrael Oti leolam, oti leolam, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheisher yamim asa Adonai Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'yom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Take a few minutes to pray privately the Amidah using either the formal text, pages 47 through 52, or inserting our own personal and private meditations, words from our heart. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, ve'imeru. Amen. I want to share a thought with you before we continue with our service here. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Nitzavim, we're nearing the end of the final book of the Torah, and the final book of the Torah, Devarim, is a summary of what's happened. So it's a book that is robust and comprehensive and really gives you the entire overview of the Israelites' journey and our story. And towards the middle of the portion, Moses reassures the people that God will not forsake them. But something else happens even more remarkable in this Torah portion and then continuing through the rest of the story, and that is the mobilization of humans. And we witness in the Torah the greatest depths of human agency, where the people come together for a common cause. And that's how we're able to become a people and not just, scattered throughout the lands. That's how we become one. That's how we become an Am Echad, one nation. And I think now there's a parallel to be drawn from this story. Things are not exactly the same, but we are living in a time where people are so divided, and we are watching chaos and destruction on levels that I think most of us have never experienced, certainly not since World War II. And so perhaps it's reasonable to ask God not to forsake us, but I think it's even more reasonable to call for the mobilization of our fellow man and woman. And so the challenge for all of us, and really the question to think about is, are we going to answer the call when it's our time? And our time is now. Not only are we going to answer the call, but are we going to look for ways that we can be helpful in this world to really try and make this world a better place, if not for us, then at least for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And so something to think about regarding Parshat Nitzavim. We will continue now with Aleinu, which we'll rise for on page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כרצון ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל עוונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה ביקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו גובי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד את מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד על כן נקב לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. The mourner's Kaddish will follow now on page 58, and before we acknowledge the yurtsites for this coming week, I just want to welcome to our sanctuary Mark and Larry Rosenthal. Larry is the husband of Betty Sue Rosenthal, who passed away last week. Mark is her son, and they're here to say Mourner's Kaddish, and we hope that you feel strengthened by the support of our for our congregation and community. And I know that just from being at your home, watching the way that people responded to your mom's passing, to your wife's passing, Larry, that you take great comfort in knowing that there are a lot of people who care about you and who love you and who will help perpetuate your mom's legacy. And so you'll join in the Mourner's Kaddish in just a moment. This week we remember Betty Chasen, Rebecca Fleital, Betty Horag, Louis Kirschenbaum, Henry Krakauer, Edward Messenger, Norman Zelnick, Maxwell Adler, Arthur Alper, Mimi Asquith, Walter Bergman, Pearl Cohen, Ed Schraub, Helga Burton, Ted Levitt, Ray Seidman, Norman Smolka, Francis Luckower, Rose Sachs, Samuel Berenson, Gila Ginsberg, Adolf Ginsberg, Celine Levine, Esther Newman, Abraham Pokoik, I'm sorry, I hope I get that right, Mary Taub, Steve Tasman, Robert Topol, Eugene Weiler, Mildred Berkey, Joseph Caspi, Kaduri Menashe, Bessie Miller, Abe Rosenfeld, Alice Sherwin, Martin Sommerfeld, Moshe Zion, Sam Baum, Jordan Blatt, Samuel Blum, Esther Friedman, Mildred Leibowitz, Mervyn Rabin, Ann Ryder, Melissa Ross, Louis Silberstein, Pearl Aronson, Diana Berkowitz, Tal Berman, Morris Fraden, Arnold Golding, Frank Lazarus, Joseph Loomis, Paul Margolis, Lorraine Tashnik, Henry Rogers, Sabina Rutmanowitz, Murray Strauss, and Noel Zeller. The mourners Kaddish, page 58, and we'll say together, Yit Kadal, V'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma di ra kidute, Ve'amlich malchute, Ve'chayechon, U'v'yomechon, U'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Va'agala, U'v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Leome Olmaya. Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Roman V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Aleh V'yit Halal Shemei Tekudesha Barichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen. We can all stand up on our feet for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher knishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'avav v'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila le'mikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'achareta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'veratzon hinchaltanu Baruch ata Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. We may be seated once more. Tomorrow morning, 9:30. And then the countdown begins. Monday, yes, I know it's Labor Day. And I want to drink and have a barbecue too, but I have to be here at 5:15, which means that you have to be here at 5:15. And I'm particularly excited to tell you about the live 1-hour musical experience that we're going to have in our parking lot. We rehearsed with the band today. They're phenomenal. That's the first time that I'm working with this particular set of musicians, but they're really, really good. And we promise to deliver a soulful, spiritual, musical Rosh Hashanah experience at 5:15 on Monday. You can park in the parking lot, sit next to your car on a lounge chair on a blanket, bring some dinner, a bottle of wine, something a little harder for me, and we'll have snacks and water for you. And then immediately after that at 6:45, for those who wish to stay or prefer a more traditional experience, we'll be in the sanctuary at 6:45. But you can find the whole calendar of our events and services and programs throughout the holidays. We've got a really robust schedule for this year that can all be found on our website. You can also ask me, and if I remember, I will tell you what time and what place and where to be and where to go. And our Israeli choir is here. They're here, and they're triple vaccinated, and they've been quarantined, and one of them took a PCR test today, and the others are getting tested on Monday, so that we can sing in here without any masks, because that's getting a little hard to do, especially on Yom Kippur. So, with that, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. Let's wrap up with Dina Miller. You're going to love this one because we haven't done it in a while. Adon Olam, on page 211. That is special for Dina because I'm pretty sure you brought me Tegelach. I don't know, was that you? Must have been. Sunday. All right, I'm getting Tegelach. So I sing a Don Olam for you. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Page 211. Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yetzi nivra leit nasa bechefso kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yetzi nivra leit nasa bechefso kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, להינשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, והוא אחד, ואין שני, להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית. בלי תכלית, ולא העול והמשרה, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, ונת כוסי ועומק רע, ביעדו אף כדרוכי, ותשאל והירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא, אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, להינשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Shabbat Shalom. Shana Tova. Stay healthy. Don't go partying now. You've got to be here Monday. Don't keep your mask on. All right. Shana Tova, everybody.